Hello and welcome everyone to this webinar. Today we will have a webinar on staying ahead in retail, and I am happy to be the one to introduce our speakers. With us today is Thomas Widen from Microsoft, and joining him is Gustav Sundblad from Engage Group. Gustav and Thomas will discuss how to walk you through retail in finance and supply chain. They will also demonstrate how you can use it together with the Copilot. At the end, we will have a quick Q&A session. So please post all of your all of your questions in the chat, and we will get to them at the end. There is a short delay between when you post things in the chat and when we see them. So please post it during the webinar and we will get to them at the end. And with that, I will hand over to Thomas and Gustav. Welcome.
Thank you, Johan.
Thank you, Johan. So it's great to be here. And Gustav, we have an exciting hour ahead of us.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
a lot of content to go through. So let's hope we make it in time.
Yes, for sure. And please feel free to bring up your questions here. And we will actually start with taking an approach to the AI and what it means. And then we will bring you down into some excellent demonstrations from Gustav's side here. So I'm Thomas Widen. I'm working as a specialist at Microsoft with focus on retail in the area of business applications. So when we talk about the AI, it is of course something that is everybody is facing in all kinds of contexts right now, and it occurs in different formats. And we sometimes have a very flat understanding of what AI is. Some things it's just the chat GPT features, whereas we see a lot of pop-up things that stresses out that, oh, AI is in this area or in this area. And in matter of fact, that is the truth. AI is everywhere. So as a retailer, you might consider how do we actually approach this one. So before we look into that one, I think we should take a look on what issues or challenges we actually have in the retail industry. We've done some research and we see that 54% of the customers, they say that customer experience is the most important thing for them when they are looking at the retailers, and they see that this is something that every retailer needs to think of. 64% says that they need to have the retailer need to respond faster. 87% actually expect that you as a retailer provide the right information, more personalized at all times. And actually 32% would actually walk away with just one bad experience. And to be honest, now we have Black Friday. How many customers do you think is out there having a bad experience today? Well, I can assure you there are pretty many customers who will not have their order come through or payment come through. They miss out on the item. They maybe place an order and the day after they learn to know that, well, sorry, we can't ship this to you. So let's dig down a little bit deeper into this topic. But first of all, let us understand what AI can do. So from a retail aspect, we can say that AI is helping us with personalization. And that is actually one of the most common usage areas in retail space right now. And unfortunately, I see a lot of companies focusing just on that part and perhaps not on the possibilities that AI bring with process automation. And that is, of course, to reduce the risks of customer striving away from you as a retailer. The other part is, of course, to use AI in predicting what is going to happen, what might happen now, and use that information to improve the customer experience. Because down the line, it's all about building a customer journey. And I know we've been talking about customer journeys for so many years within retail. And I think that is at the centerpiece of everything we need to do. And I like to use this picture to really demonstrate the concept of a customer journey. And we will just touch base some of these ones in this meeting. And we are, of course, happy to set up meetings to discuss all areas with you and going deeper in functionalities and strategies to talk about them. But let's look on this one. And maybe you don't agree with me that this is the customer journey. For some people, see it as completion of a sale is just the customer journey and do not really include the full experience here. But if you recall what I talked about before here, is that customer, they are really easy to move away and select another brand because the loyalty is not there. So if you're not delivering a complete experience, they won't stay with you. So what I'm trying to say here, it's not really good enough to be good in the store or have the best customer service or have the best supply chain. It's all everything together. That is the complete customer journey, and that is also affecting the total experience for the customer. So, what is a digital experience? And I want to start with our own experience here. It's actually also connected to how we as Microsoft work with our customer support in connecting with them. We had a market manager, Chris Caposeia, who said that, well, you know what? Every possibility to interact with a customer is a chance to create a fan. So even if a customer comes in with a complaint or a questioning something, he sees that this is a point where we can turn that feeling around. We've been working for many years now and are continues to work in improving our relationship with the customers. And there are a lot of nice marketing stories on how we are actually doing that. But foremost, we actually changed the way we are working with our support. As you see, we are having a quite a bit big support organization. We have 45,000 support agents. And they are answering questions on everything from Xbox to M365, Azure Teams, or an Office 365 license. There are customers, end customers, there are partners of all kinds that are reaching out to these 80 contact centers. And actually, this is actually resulting in 145 million contacts. And this is, of course, critical for us to work very effective in handling this one. So we actually applied all our latest and greatest technology and AI capabilities in these processes and try them out before we actually deliver them to the market. So let's see what it is that we are doing. If we just start with the experience when a customer is contacting us. It might be an in-store experience or an online experience. It might be in several different channels because this is how the customer is working. It can be a text message. It can be a chat through any kind of chat platform, social media, or it might be a classic phone call. What we do here is actually that we are using AI in several parts here to understand what it is the customer is wanting from us. So even at the point where they are reaching out to us, we start to do the intake, and our AI agents are looking into this data. If it's a voice call, we are analyzing the text and listening to the words that's been used to actually making sure that this case is suitable for this kind of agent. But even so, we actually are trying to resolve the case even before we hand it over to the agent. I mean, isn't that the smartest way to resolve it? Let a chatbot or an automatic process resolve the case. When we take this further down, when this case come in, so now we actually have had the AI feature selected the right kind of agent to understand what is this case about. We do that what we call with something called sentiment analytics, and we do real-time transcription of what's been spoken. So yes, what's been spoken in 41 languages actually. In the same time, we are actually collecting all kind of information about this customer, what they've been purchasing, what kind of support questions they had before, what kind of experience they had, how we've been managed them. And this gives us the 360 view of the customer and helps us respond to them. And actually, the agent will also have suggestions on how to resolve the matter of the customer. And we believe, and we all actually see that this is actually turning this customer around from perhaps not being very happy to be supportive of our products and then around our brands. And this is really about creating a brand impression, having the highest level of customer service in focus. Let's go on a little further in this customer journey, and I want to jump over to the fulfillment part. I see now when I do my Black Friday shopping, my phone is shaking all the time because I receive all this mail that, well, your package has been, we received a shipping information, we are about to pack it, and we are now putting it in the car. The car has left the garage, it's on its way. Yeah, tons of information. Well, in fact, before we are in that situation, it might be that we have issues with the delivery. So how can AI help us here? So let us imagine that I actually deliver buying something that is not in store right now. That means that we have a procurement organization or a supply chain organization that is looking on procuring this material and making sure it's being cross-shipped directly to me somehow. How can AI help me here? So I will show you. Here we are using AI to look into all the confirmation that comes into us. AI will directly spot what has low impact and high impact. And this enables me to take actions directly. And in this case, I can actually ask a chatbot to find alternatives for me. And the pilot here, or chatbot, can also help me to create information that I can send to my vendor. Hey, this will cause a delay for my customer. Can we ship something else, something that is better? So this is actually a very important upsell opportunity if I can work out a better plan for the customer. I can also have act proactive to my customer and tell them, hey, we shipped this product was sold, but I can offer this product for an even better price since you already placed an order. So it's an important situation where you actually can do a very nice upsell. And all this is possible thanks to these AI capabilities that we have built into the system. And as you may be heard from Microsoft, we are calling this a co-pilot. And it has this fantastic logo. And this is everywhere into our systems. We don't want to have that as just a side feature. We see that this kind of AI capabilities will actually pop in everywhere into the system. And that is also the way we should always look on our processes. When we have a process in our organization, we should ask ourselves, how can we automate that, and how can we automate with AI on top of it? And this is actually what we're doing. So these co-pilots and the agents will actually improve the efficiency of my organization's way of working with the customers and the customer journeys. That, of course, also means that the co-pilot itself will combine all the data that we have in our organization. So it's not just my ERP data, it's also my emails, my external information. It might be our documentation about run products that is also included into the AI and the co-pilot features. So everything is at its hand always for me when I have my interaction with a customer. And all for the purpose, of course, of creating an excellent customer experience. So now we will take a deeper look into the system, and Gustav will do some demonstration around this. And please come with your questions.
Thank you, Thomas. So yeah, that's a great summary of the customer service and the customer-oriented approach of Copilot, I think. And now for some more hands-on experience with using Copilot. But before we dive into a demo here of the Copilot features for commerce today, I wanted to just give a background on Dynamics 365 Commerce to set the stage. I'm not sure about all the listeners who have seen Dynamics 365 Commerce. Maybe you work with it today. Or maybe you want to look at this webinar to gain some insights into what it can do. So I thought I'd at least give an explanation about commerce and Copilot before we jump into the actual demo. So Dynamics 365 Commerce is a lot of things, but if you look at this picture here, we can boil it down into three main components, basically, with the headless commerce engine being the main one, I think, for interaction across all of your sales channels. So what is a headless commerce engine? What it means is that we expose a whole full range of APIs towards different channels, which you can interact with to do sales. You can do any number of commerce-related operation across all your channels. You can do product on-hand queries. You can do sales order capture, staff operations towards store commerce applications. So, but these are exposed in a headless way, so you can interact with them any way you want, really, using either store commerce, as we're going to show you today, or other channels and other components interacting via the engine, giving that same customer experience across all channels, which is the main goal of the headless engine, to provide true unified commerce across all channels, regardless of where it is. So that's the headless commerce engine, and this helps out with on the other aspect where you have your headquarters, where you have all of your personas, all of your staff operators, your sales associates that work in the store. Perhaps you might have your customer service reps. They might want to inquire into order history, or maybe place a return order using customer service or any other application. They might interact using 365 Commerce via the headless commerce engine, so to speak. And for like all of this is integrated and connected to provide that data, as Thomas was talking about, also to get that full 360 view. You also have Dynamics 365 as the ERP combining with the financial reconciliation of all of these sales orders, and you have all of the interactions coming from customer service. So commerce is really your first point customer facing sales and commerce channel, basically. So that's the quick overview about Dynamics 365 Commerce. So it's a lot of components, and we don't have a lot of time in this webinar, so I won't be covering everything. But today, for the demo, I wanted to show you quickly how we go into store commerce as the application. So I'm just going to jump straight in and show you. This is a cloud-based point of sale right now. Without going into too much detail about store commerce capabilities, you can deploy the point of sale, the store commerce application, in a number of ways, basically, depending on what you need or what you require. You can do a classic POS installation with an actual application, receipt printers, any peripheral that you need, really, in your physical brick and mortar store. So you can have full offline capabilities to be able to sell, even though internet breaks down. Hopefully that doesn't happen too much nowadays. You can also decide to do a lightweight footprint way of rolling out a cloud-based point of sale. So the application is the same. It doesn't really matter where you deploy it. You can deploy it to an Android device for mobile sales. You can connect that mobile device to another station to do actual printing. So I think the end possibilities are endless, but it all requires, it all depends on your requirements that you have for that particular store, be it a pop-up store or an actual physical permanent store. So for demo purposes, we're just going to go into our cloud-based store commerce cloud POS using my staff worker Gustav. And again, since I'm not sure if everyone has seen store commerce before, so before we jump into the Copilot capabilities, just a quick summary of the store commerce application. Right now, I am a manager, so I have a pretty bloated screen here. I get access to pretty much everything. This is the welcome screen where you can design your own layout. You can design the button layout as you want. These are all connected to different operations. I used AI to generate an Engage premium shopping bag, and this is what I got. It looks very premium, not very practical, but you can see what we can fit into that bag later on. So looking at the home screen here, or the welcome screen, these are all operations that use the headless commerce engine or the CSU. So you can use, for instance, recall order to fetch an order for pickup that was placed by any other channel. You can do price checks towards your products. You can do a lot of different operations, but they are all tied to these buttons and, of course, to your workers' security. You can design a fancy catalog as well if you like, to have sales clerks being able to click it. You can always search throughout store commerce for both customers and products all across. So what I'm going to show you today from a demo perspective is basically a couple of new Copilot capabilities that have been brought into store commerce application. And if you remember the previous screen, we have the channel side, headless commerce, where we have the store commerce application. And we have the backend side, which is Dynamics 365 ERP, where we do reconciliation, we do posting to financials and so forth. So the new capabilities that have been released for Copilot for commerce cover a little bit of both. So I thought I'd jump first into the store commerce application and give you a rundown of what is new here. So from a store manager perspective, here we have all of my manager tasks. This, again, it might be a separate webinar to go through all of the operations, but anyone who works in retail, you know how it is. You need to do bank cash accounting, you need to do safe drop, bank drop, cash management, a lot of financial operations as well. It's not just a big sell button, even though that would be nice. So you have a lot of different operations that you need to do as a store manager or as a cashier. But one of the main things that I think is nice about store commerce is that it comes with a preset of reports that you put in the hands of the actual store users. So this is the standard reports, and nothing you see here today is customized. All is standard on the latest version of Dynamics 365. So we haven't customized anything here. So this is what you get. And of course, in any normal retail operation, you would have an aggregation of your sales transactions to BI, to Fabric. You might have a fancy sales dashboard in Power BI that gives you a summary of your sales across all channels. But it's very normal that store users, at least, don't have access to these reports for a number of reasons. So you have built in the commerce application a summary of reports that can give you, for your channel at least, a summary. This is my demo data now, so it's based upon me placing orders. So it's not, we haven't sold that much, but you can imagine if you have 10 staff workers, or if you look over a month, what Copilot does here is basically give you a summary of the report in order to help you out to make an analysis. So depending on the report, of course, the summary might be a little bit irrelevant because you already see it here, but it gives you a way to put some insights in the hands of your store workers without them having to do calculations of their own. They can always draw their own conclusions by looking at the reports or the transactions. So Copilot here is an assistant. It's trying to help you out with giving you insights, as opposed to being a Copilot agent that tries to do things on its own. So Copilot in this instance is primarily giving you insights. So that's the first, the report insights. Another one which I think is very applicable when it comes to Copilot, and this is not new for store commerce, it has been there for a while. This is our little engage assortment here. One picture is AI generated, one is not. Let's see if you can pick out which one is which. If you look at our little engage assortment here, I've created a product, the engage jacket. This is actually one we got for a Christmas present a couple of years back. So this is a real item. We haven't added that much for it. We just added an item and all the necessary components. And then what Copilot here does, it helps me a little bit with the product enrichment. So it gives me a summary, a sellable text basically for this product based on a couple of just attributes on that product. So it puts on a salesperson hat and really expands the sales text here and gives me a versatile outerwear option designed for comfort and style. So you can use Copilot here to give you a more sellable text. You can also use that sellable text in your PIM enrichment process if you use, for instance, e-commerce. So let's say you have thousands of items, but you don't get a sellable text from your suppliers. You get a lot of attributes. You can have Copilot automatically generate a sellable text that might take environmental considerations into account as well. And then you can have someone to just look at the text to see that it's okay. They don't actually have to write it from scratch. And Copilot summary here on the product page also gives me a summary of my inventory on hand. For this one, I didn't have any inventory or discounts, but if I had stock or if I had applied a discount to this product, you would have it available here. Again, back to giving you insights and a summary rather than just having the user click around, because you can, of course, take this item, you can go back to the home screen, you can do a price check on it, and you can see all of this. But you would have to do a lot of clicks to get that summary, and you don't get the sellable text as well. So you can have store commerce in a kiosk mode, so you can have your users or your potential customers browse the catalog themselves. And again, back to this being headless, the same media information, let's say you use e-commerce and you use Site Builder, it's all the same information. So it's if you decide to publish my Engage t-shirt to my Engage website as well, the same information will be available there. So it's the same customer experience again across all channels. They don't see any discrepancies unless you want to say that you want to have a discount on e-commerce, perhaps, and they would only see that on e-commerce. So the product summary gives you it puts again some insights into the hands of the salespeople. If you can imagine, if you have some environmental attributes, you might add them to the product and then you will give them in the summary. So the staff users can answer the customer's questions in an easier fashion without having to scroll around and look up specific attributes. So I think that's a very nice little feature. My favorite one, if we go back to that one, is actually the customer insights. So you remember this is the welcome screen. The classic post layout is this. You can decide if you want to land here. If you just want a big point of sale where you want to have fast sales, you can just skip the welcome screen altogether and just go here. Normally, of course, you would scan your products. I don't have a scanner right now, so I can just add a product here to the transaction. And here you see all the functionality that you have in a regular post. You can work with orders, do returns, different payment options here, cash card, customer account, and loyalty, of course, as well. So I'm going to add myself as a customer. And I think this is where we really tie into what Thomas was talking about earlier as well. You can either scan a social security number, driver's license, loyalty card to find the customer. Here I just searched for it and I found myself. And the picture here is just to showcase that you can actually have a picture associated to the customer account. This is an avatar. It is supposed to be me, actually, so you can make the resemblance yourself. I got it from Dynamics Minds conference, but normally, I think in many, at least Swedish cases, we don't have that pictures associated with our actual B2C walk-in customers. I think for many reasons, privacy. I have heard about and seen cases, I think mainly high fashion scenarios where you actually have a real face on your customers because you want to be able to identify them when they walk into the store. And I'm not sure how legal that is in all countries, but it's there if you want to have a picture. The point is, as soon as we have identified the customer, that opens up a whole range of information that you can put in the hands of your sales personnel. In this case, AI or Copilot scans my order history and gives me an average spend, gives me how many orders have I placed over the past years, a lifetime value from a loyalty perspective, how much have I actually spent at this store, and then it kicks up suggested conversation points. And these can be, depending on, it all boils down to how much data do you have on this customer and what can Copilot do about that. So you can have linked products, for instance. customers who bought this usually buys this as well. You can have a lot of things as long as you connect and have that data. Copilot can give you a summary and provide some insights on it. So just this summary of the customer is good all in itself, because it gives you the customer a feeling that that they are loyal to the store. And again, you can also go to recent purchases over here and look at the order history. So this is a real 360 view about that customer based on whatever we have on the customer side. But I think the most interesting part is this one with the timeline here. So again, this is something that you can do manually. You can have your store users enter a new timeline entry manually. But if you have, for instance, customer service, as Thomas showed you earlier, you want to have that full 360 view of the customer, so they feel recognized across all channels, right? And you want to bring all the customer interactions across all your channels into one and the same place, into the same timeline here. So as long as you use these applications and you get the same customer account, and you're able to integrate that properly into your business applications, you will get a timeline of this customer here. And here I added a note manually that I will be coming to picking up material for Showcase, which is a real day scenario in any retail store. You might have a social media influencer, which I'm not, but you might have one that wants to come by and pick up some clothes for a showcase. And today, I think a lot of stores just have a post-it note for that, or an email. You could add it to the timeline and connect it to the customer, so you can at least you can see that they will come to the store. And then you have the actual store visit. We might have some marketing emails and marketing campaigns. As long as you track these around your customer object, Copilot will actually give a very good summary here on my behavior pattern. I seem to be a very happy customer. I have a positive interest in products. There is also some marketing with the mix and match campaign, so it ties together with my campaign marketing ads. And it also finds, using sentiment analysis here, it finds that I have been here to do something about a showcase, and just indicates to the salespeople that, okay, maybe you should ask him was he satisfied with the things that he picked up. It doesn't need to have like an actual order with these items marked as. It's just some kind of sentiment analysis connected to the customer, puts it in the hands of Copilot, and gives you a summary, which I think is very helpful without going. This is a very brief timeline, but you can imagine if you have 20 interactions, you could still draw that conclusion yourself, but Copilot really here assists in helping you brief it down into a good summary. So customer insights, Copilot summary, I think that's a very great addition, as long as you also have the customer interactions with customer service or CRM, CE as well. So you can have a number of different contact points with your customer to drive that experience home. So that is it for the Store Commerce Copilot editions, and there will be more coming, but these are available right now within the Store Commerce application, which is a separate application to Dynamics 365 backend finance and operations. They are tied together. There is no need to build custom integrations, but it is a separate application. So it's I think that's why it's important to distinct what you put in the hands of the store workers with Copilot Insights. They might not have access to backend for security reasons. They might not have access to a number of different channels. So it's very nice to be able to put Copilot and AI in the hands of the people who only work with the Store Commerce application as well. Another demo that I wanted to do as well, because one of the main things I've heard, or at least I've encountered in my experience rolling out retail, is the onboarding and training. How do we, again, imagine that the store users, they don't have access to your ERP. They might not even be in your tenant, so they might not have access to Teams. They might be isolated outside because they are staff workers. So how do we onboard staff workers easily? And if you remember what Thomas talked about as well, Copilot it's not one isolated Copilot. You have all manners of Copilots all over the place that do a lot of different things. And a good Copilot demo is not sufficient without going into what we call Copilot Studio. This is where you manage all of your different Copilots, basically. So you can have a range of different Copilots doing different things. So if you're in finance and operations here, you have your sidecar experience. Anyone who works with finance and operations have a Copilot that kind of pops in from here. That's your sidecar experience. That's a Copilot, and then you can build your own custom Copilots, and you can do a number of things, but you all do it here within Copilot Studio. So it's important to understand a little bit about what you can do here in order to bring pieces of your application together. So what I've done here is I've created a blank Copilot. Basically, it doesn't really do anything until you give it something to do and you give it some knowledge. So one scenario is that you might have a store operations manual. So you roll out store commerce or any other tools, and you have this manual, right? You have it in PDF, you have it in local language, perhaps, that kind of goes through all of the store operations that you want your workers to do, because you might have your own set of daily routines that you need to do with the store, not only within the store commerce application. I didn't have such a manual, but I've seen them. I just didn't want to bring any of my customers' operations manuals to this demo, so I asked Copilot to generate one for me. So it generated a pretty generic manual for me: cash register startup, inventory checks, all the things that you need to do in a day of life of a store. I generated a PDF for it, and I just added it as a knowledge here to my. I just uploaded that file to my Copilot. I didn't do anything else really. And then what Copilot does, it just scans it and does a sentiment analysis on it. And now, when I publish my Copilot, instead of just answering generically, it will actually go and search into my actual store operations manual first, rather than giving me just a generic answer here. So let's say if I use in Copilot here, this is the generic one where I don't really have a connection to my manual. If I ask Copilot, what should I consider when opening my store? It will give me a good answer, but it's more like a generic one, the one that you will get if you ask ChatGPT, like 10 different items that you might want to consider when opening your store. You see some planning and some key factors. It's an exciting venture. You see this is a more generic AI response that you might expect. But if I do the same in my Copilot here, where I added knowledge, and I also publish my Copilot to, let's say, for instance, I publish it to Teams here. So now I published my agent, the same agent that goes towards my store operations manual. I published it to Teams, and now you can publish to any number of channels here. You can go to Teams, you can publish it to Slack, anything that you might have as a means of communication to your store workers. And now you see, instead of going to a generic answer, it actually answers and cleans up everything that's in my manual, gives a reference as well to the manual, I think. Yeah. So you can really drive using knowledge and using actions and using headless commerce. You can really use Copilot AI to tie together a lot of operations to help with onboarding, to help with sales channels, for instance. You can also go here. I've added an action to my Copilot. That's another demo, perhaps, to actually create and check for customer balance, which might be something that's worth interesting. I can ask, what is the current customer balance for customer 10001? I can also place an order directly from Copilot, which leverages all of the different components of the business applications here. Right now, it's towards F&O and commerce. So this will create an open sales order for me. I can go back to my retail post store commerce, pick up that order, and finalize it with cash if I want to. So Copilot can help out with not only like fancy insights, which are great, but can also help out with tying together a lot of different components that you might want to use, where you might have workers that are not always, they don't have the application, or they just use this particular thing to work with, but they still need to be empowered by AI or by sentiment analysis or gaining some insights. That's where you can really leverage, I think, Copilot as a means to tie all aspects of the applications together. And you see the possibilities are endless here as well. You can add all types of knowledges and actions to your Copilot and then publish it to your channels as you deem fit. All right. So going back to the presentation, I wanted just to quickly also not miss. There are two other Copilot additions to Commerce and latest release. These were not so demo friendly. It requires a lot of work to prepare demo sets, so I just wanted to show them. We have the merchandising Copilot, which kind of helps you out when you create an assortment and catalogs and products. This will go through all the setup that you've done and give you a summary of things you might have missed. you're missing a description translation for a couple of products, for instance, and you might have a display order which is out of sync. So it gives you a risk analysis on how good your channel product attributes are. It's pretty good. And again, it's just a feature to turn on, so it doesn't really hurt to turn it on and try it out. If you have issues with missing product translations, just turn this on and go through your assortment to see if it can help you out and review. It's a very nice little time saver, hopefully. We also have this one. I think is very nice. This is the retail statement insights. So a lot of people have invested a lot of money into fraud detection and fraud analysis to see risky behavior in your point of operations. You have a lot of these patterns that you see a lot of return or parked receipts near around closing time. You can define a couple of rules here. And I know there are solutions for this outside, but this gives you an insight into your statement posting. So it kind of boils together all of your transactions throughout a given period, normally a day, and you try to post them into different journals, sales orders, invoices. It handles the connection between retail transactions and ledger, basically, and of course inventory as well. So this insight gives you an analysis in the hands of the people working with statements directly. When it's calculated, you can see that there are high number of returns, expense transactions, and so forth. It's just a risk. It doesn't, again, this is an assistant. It doesn't do anything. It just gives you an analysis, and then it's up to you to take action on that. But to get to this summary, you would have to either have a Power BI report somewhere to do this analysis on your own with your own rule sets, or you would need to open it up in Excel or just click on transactions and draw your own conclusions. So again, it's helping you out to gain insights so that you can take action. The next natural step, of course, would be to have the Copilot agents to kind of help out to see if we can actually automate some of these actions that you take as well. But I think that's in the next steps of this. So that was a very quick demo and quick summary of the newest capabilities of Dynamics 365 Commerce Copilot AI capabilities. Thomas, any questions? Please write them in the chat, and we'll try to answer here. We don't see anything yet. I know there's also a little bit of a delay. So if you encounter a question later on, feel free to write in the comments, and we'll try to jump in and answer as soon as we can.
All right. That's the question there. They are asking, what if we already have a POS system? How can we connect that to headless commerce?
Good question. There are a number of APIs for headless commerce to integrate into the POS. There is a link I can show you. I can put it in the chat, a list of the APIs that are available. There are a number of ways to work with existing POS towards 365 and getting it into the statement posting. I would say it depends on the POS system and what operations you really want to achieve. There are levels of integrations here. You can either do just simplify and just send the orders, right? And you have any range of, if you want to integrate store operations as well, do inventory. I think it's hard to answer with like one simple answer here. How do you integrate? But I would look into the API list of headless commerce. I can probably share a link shortly as soon as I see the comment. And also look into, I think we have another service called the Inventory Visibility Service that provides on hand for a range of systems. So if you, let's say you have store commerce and a third-party POS, you can use IVS to kind of bring your on-hand data together in one group on hand. So depends on the requirements, but I would start with looking at what you want to integrate and then look at the API list to see what's available.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Gustav, all these AI features. What you really demonstrated is both how you improve the productivity of the staff that works in the store, how they actually can serve the customer better, and that is, of course, then leading to a better customer experience. And I think it's so nice that we have the capability to transform the way the staff is working, because it also gives them another purpose. It's simplified a way for them to answer to questions to the customers, but also gives them a biased information. And if you recall back in the beginning, I was talking about that the customer actually expect that you know who they are, you know?
Yeah.
So I think this is a really interesting development. And And when we look at a crystal ball on what's coming, there is even more features like this because it's really applicable everywhere. And we are just seeing the beginning of the co-pilots, and it pops up everywhere in the system.
Exactly. I hope the demos helped you out and the presentation helped you out to understanding the capabilities right now. And as you say, Thomas, the era of co-pilots is really, I'm not sure if we're in the middle of it or if we're just starting. It's hard to say, but it's a lot of things coming as well to further enhance the insights as well as the agent capability to actually automate a lot of solutions. Looking at what you previously have done and suggesting that I've seen you've posted this journal this way the last 20 times. Do you want me to do it for you the next time? I think those types of cases are really interesting and something to look forward to.
Yes.
All right. So if there are no further questions, we will be looking at the comment section for a while as well. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions to either me or Thomas. Thank you for listening.